Hi, welcome back, pen friends. It's Christy from Optimal Wellness, Yoga, and More. And I just have to say that this playing with colors of 30 Inks, 30 Days has been so wonderful for me. I haven't really played with color in quite some time. What I am wanting to do in order to figure out my palette for my journal is to just come up with my autumn ink rainbow. Now, I wasn't doing PenTube when Sarah at Ginger Peachy Pens started that tag, but I watched all the video responses to it. Thoroughly enjoyed it. If you haven't checked them out yet, I recommend it. I'll put a link to her playlist in the description box below. And if for some reason I forget, just leave a comment and let me know and I will put it in there. But as I've been walking the dog, I have been really observing the colors around us. And autumn here in the Mid-Atlantic is very different than my experience in the upper Midwest and the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains. And I thought it would be fun to come up with my own autumn ink rainbow, somewhat based on our walks, because if you have depression or anxiety or sleeping issues, exercise is always a help if you can handle it. And I have been titrating my walking, just slowly increasing it since we got Fitz. And I'm happy with my progress so far. And I just love being out in nature, observing nature and how it shifts and changes is a huge part of my own spirituality practice. And there's just something super healing about being out in nature. So I'm going to share some of our walks here as I share my ink rainbow. And I have been completely floored by some of the colors I've seen on our walks. Some of them I'm choosing to not include in this ink rainbow because, well, I had to draw the line somewhere. And I'm going to try my best to fit 12 inks on this one page, and then I would like to be able to bring in stickers and some washi tape to kind of figure out which subset of those 12 I'm going to put into ink pens. So we're going to start with the traditional red color, although I'm not choosing a traditional red. I am choosing Diamine Oxblood. And as usual, I'm going to be using my Fude pen, the cap end of a sample vial, and I have 2 glasses of water here, one for the initial dirty dip, and one for a final rinse. So now, surprisingly, I could have put, say, Carnival in here, or Matador from Diamine, because the reds around here are super vibrant and lean towards the cool, which kind of surprised me. I guess in my mind, I always thought of the reds as being more warm, although I was not called to go that super bright and saturated for that color, because here is where my bright is coming in. And this is Dominant Industry Maple. And I'm actually kind of classifying this as my orange. I maybe should have put down just a little bit more, because It looks a little more towards red in the writing. I think that got spread out just a little too much there. Dominant industry. Maple. And that is a very fitting name for an autumn rainbow. And it's kind of a red-orange. And then for my orange, Ancient Copper. You all knew this one was going to have to make an appearance, right? I actually, believe it or not, just got this. I ordered some samples from Van Ness recently and popped a couple of 30 ml Diamine in as well. I would have liked to have grabbed Autumn Oak, but they were out, so that didn't happen. But I got actually all Dominant Industry samples. Since Maple was my first foray into their inks, I was curious to check some of the others out. The other Diamine that I picked up was a color that we already have in an 80 ml bottle, if you can believe it. I had thought it was from a sample when I was looking at my swatch book to choose my 30 inks 30 days, and I couldn't find the sample, so I just chose a different ink where that was supposed to happen. And then I asked my wife to look through the sample vials to see where I missed it, and she started looking through them, and she's like, did you check the full bottles? And right now the full bottles are upstairs, and all of the samples are down here because I'm still working out a lot of the organization. Just relatively recently got some shelving and bins and stuff, so I'm still in that organization process. But somehow I forgot that we had that color in a full bottle. So if anyone is interested in a 30 ml bottle of Diamine Emerald and would like to trade, let me know, because I have 30 mils that I am likely never going to use because the chances of us running through the 80 ml bottle we already have is pretty slim. So if Emerald intrigues you, let me know. I'd love to trade for another Diamine. It doesn't have to be unused, just more than like 2/3 full would be fine. So now I'm going to do an orange brown, and for that I am using Fahrney's Copper Burst. And for you who may not be familiar, Fahrney's is a pen and stationery store on Capitol Hill, basically here in DC. And their inks, though, are straight up private reserve. Like, even the name is the same. It's just labeled with their with their store name. It's not like an exclusive color to them or anything like that. So, Private Reserve Copper Burst. Ew, I've maybe been squeezing these together a bit much. Although that might give me some room to place some stickers and washi down at the bottom. So that all works out okay. And I was so excited to do this. I'm doing it a little later than I would normally record, but I just wanted to play with inks and be in all the cozy fall vibes. We had a pretty rough weekend with Tropical Storm Ophelia hitting us here in the Mid-Atlantic. So it has been gray and wet, and my pain levels have been pretty high. Because just before we got hit with that nice, strong, low-pressure system from Ophelia, my Hobonichi box was misdelivered, and I had to go search for it. And would you believe it? It will be a week in a couple days, and I still haven't heard boo, not even an automated response from FedEx that when I reported it as having not been delivered, if you would believe it. So, but I overdid it. I walked way too much at one time, and I was angry. So I think I was walking heavily, and I ended up with shin splints, which is just, so much fun. But they're clearing up now. But between kind of overdoing that and Ophelia, it was just a really rough weekend, and I didn't get to accomplish much of anything that I had hoped to. And so this is just kind of my therapy here this morning. See, I told you, or well, you maybe haven't seen it. I have a difficult time in the evenings. I'm definitely, I'm kind of slow to get out of bed because of the chronic pain. It's not always the easiest or the most fun. But I'm definitely firing best in the morning, and come about 3, I'm about wrung out. I'm already having a fairly significant dip in productivity, and I'm kind of sort of shut down for anything requiring a lot of mental power by definitely 8. And it is well after 8 here. But like I said, I needed the therapy of playing with colors because it's been just so gray and being in pain. And I mean, the pain's doing quite a bit better now, but so for my yellow/gold, I have the Wearingeul Sanshiro that you may have seen in my 30 Inks 30 Days. I adored how it came out of my Ahab Flex pen. it definitely looked more gold and not quite so vibrant yellow as it looks here. And I'm really intrigued to see what happens in a non-flex pen. Surprisingly, here we don't have much in the way of yellow leaves, which is kind of a change from the Front Range of Colorado, where if it wasn't pine, it was aspen for the most part. Like the foothills would just turn gold in the fall. So I didn't really see anything this color on our walks this last week or so. But what is an autumnal rainbow without a yellow? So then I have a yellow brown, I guess, is kind of what I'm classifying it as. It also has green. It is Birmingham Pen Company Burlywood. It sheens green, but I'm unsure of how much it will actually sheen in a pen. I've had it in my Jinhao 86 with a fine nib, which is the 86s are the Parker 51 clones. And I didn't really get any sheen out of that. At least on this paper, which this is my B6 Common Planner from Sterling Ink, and it has the newer Sanzen Tomoe River paper, and it's the 52 GSM. And with 30 inks, 30 days, I really didn't manage to do much of anything in here in the month of September. And I didn't do very much in the month of August either because of having COVID. So it seemed only fitting to swatch in here. This is my only Sanzen Tomoe River paper I have right now in the 52 GSM, so it seemed like a good idea to swatch on that, since that is what I'll primarily be using in the new year, and also what my planner is printed on right now. So there we go, a yellow brown / green. Sorry, I have to go look back at my notes because I can't remember all my categories I had chosen. Oh yeah, I missed one. I went out of order, but it'll all work. So this one is a yellow brown green or yellow green, and actually for yellow brown, I have another one of my Van Ness samples that I just got, which is November Leaves. And this is a really light one, probably not super legible, but I have been wanting to collect and try some of these really light colors to use as accents in my planner, to either use a paintbrush and draw a swath with the paintbrush, or to use a Fude nib and create a wider line. So 2 of the 4 dominant industry samples I got are quite light colored. We'll see one of the other ones in this ink rainbow as well. So it may be that I decide that some of these, industry, not industries, leaves. I may decide that some of these will just be added to the planner as decoration. So either, like I said, a highlight sort of thing, or maybe splotches a la Karina loves to plan. And I'd probably still like to stick to about 6 pens inked up, I think. I think I can handle that. So I want to only choose half of these probably to put into a pen, at least for October. And if I'm lucky, the other colors will go well with November's sticker kit. But we'll see. We'll see. Next up is Arugula, another Birmingham pen company. But this is a 50% dilution that I did. You can see my experiments of diluting Arugula and prickly pear in another video. I'm not sure if it's already up or if it will go up after this. If it's up before I post this, I'll put it up in the cards. If not, I'll add the link in the description box below once it goes live. I will say that I went off label for this. It is Birmingham Pen Company's dilution solution, but they recommend not exceeding roughly 30% of dilution solution, and this is going to be roughly 50%. So I did my experiments, and then I sucked up everything out of the wells of my paint palette and put it all into one sample vial, which gave me about 1 ml of ink. And because of how I do the dilutions, it means that all of the leftovers, when mixed together, gives me more or less a 50% mix. And the interesting thing with Arugula was that you didn't notice much change at 20% dilution, and then the 2-to-1 and the 1-to-1 and the 1-to-2 all looked fairly much the same, which was not the case with prickly pear, but it did seem to be the case with the arugula. When I've put arugula in a pen before, my writing looked very black, like a very black, green black. It was hard to read it as a green at all, which is why I wanted to dilute it for this and for my planner. So next up is, and now I'm gonna look at my notes every time since I screwed up the order. Oh, next up is my new from the unboxing video that went up recently, the antique Sepia, also from Birmingham ink. I think you'll kind of find that this ink rainbow is actually sort of a representation of what we have in full bottles in our collection. Well, not exactly, because I don't have any bottles of Dominant Industry. I just have samples of that. But you'll see a lot of Diamine and a lot of Birmingham Pen Co., which are the two brands that are most represented in our collection. And this one, you'll have to wait for it to dry down because it's definitely a chromo shader. It looks like a somewhat bright green here, but it actually dries down to what I consider kind of a khaki, kind of a green brown of a light medium darkness. So it may be on the fringes of legible for some people. I probably wouldn't want to write with it in our bedroom because our bedroom doesn't have terribly good lighting, but like here with my hot light and everything, it's not a problem. And then here, I'm going to put a pen in here so I can find it quicker. Next is a blue-green, and this is the other light color Dominant Industry, and that is Winter Pine, and it is super light. It's a very interesting color, and I'll cut away at some point here to show you. I discovered these interesting berries along our walking route. I have no idea what they are because until this last year, we lived like in the concrete jungle. Like we had no natural vegetation around us. I mean, don't get me wrong, the complex had like nice landscaping and everything, but there weren't like native wild growing plants. And where we are now, it's an older housing development, and there is lots of green space. There are woods nearby, and even actually we have access to a really great trail. I haven't used it yet because it is really, really steep to access it from where we are, and my wife is pretty certain I am not up to that task right now. But if you happen to know any of the plants that I've shown you on this walk, please let me know what they are, because that is something that is kind of important to me because of my connection to nature. And I also feel like when you can name the plants around you, then you're like more invested and connected to the land around you, at least for me. So I would like to know what these are, but there are a ton of plants here that I don't know, because they were definitely not present in the semi-arid climate of the Front Range of the Rockies, and many of them were not something I saw in the cold and snowy upper Midwest either. But both of those places, I could name a large number of the plants I would run into around me. So I would like to remedy that here, but so far I don't know anyone who can help educate me. And I find using the guidebooks and stuff for identifying plants to be a little difficult, because it seems like you have to wade through so many things. I know there's like plant identifier apps, and I had one at one point, but all those subscriptions to all those different things, all these apps, and our streaming services, and our YouTube people, and our Twitch people, and our Patreon, and like all those things like nickel and dime you. So I let that one go. If you know of a good free one, please let me know, because it would be quite helpful for me. And then we have a blue here. And this is Diamine, surprise, surprise. Prussian blue. And this is a real favorite of mine. This one gets used fairly regularly. The only thing I discovered was that okay, I can spell and talk at the same time, or not. So what I discovered was that, at least in some of my fine writers, the Prussian blue was really hard to distinguish from the cool color Irishizuku gray. They looked very, very similar. So it has been sitting in time out a little bit, because I always have a pen inked up with a gray for making my non-important little notes in my planner, or notes that I want to know about, but they aren't something I need to do. So like some of my wife's appointments or social engagements, so that like I know, oh, I'm on my own this evening. If I want to get together with friends, this is a good opportunity to do so, because she's already occupied, that sort of thing. So, and our 12th color is purple, and I'm going with a purple brown. It is the other Birmingham pen company that I experimented on diluting, and just like the Arugula, I'm just going to use the 50% for now. Now, the prickly pear, I did see differences at every dilution. But this actually seemed like a pretty good balance. Prickly Pear was another one where in the pens, I kind of lost the purpley nuance of it. And I wanted it to be a little more, I wanted the purple to pop more instead of being so dark that it read like a dark burgundy brown. So another thing that I like about this, because I am a nerd, is that this color kind of wraps us back around to the Oxblood. Like if I went and put the Oxblood here, it would actually look quite nice with it. It would be a good transition into that. So bonus, I can wrap my ink rainbow around. That of course is not, oh, it's too late. And I can't talk and spell at the same time. Okay, so there we have it. My Autumn Ink Rainbow 2023. Again, shout out to Sharon again. Sharon. Oh my goodness, my brain. Shout out again to Sarah at Ginger Peachy Pens for the inspiration to do this. It has been fun. I will come back when these have finished drying. Okay, and we're back. And here are the swatches dried. You can see the ancient copper sheen's a little green if you haven't seen that one before. I'm not sure if that's going to come out in writing. It didn't come out with the dip pen, so I'm guessing it's not going to come out in a fountain pen unless I go with a stub nib or something, which I probably won't. At least what I'm seeing in my preview, the Burlywood's coming out a little odd in the camera, but to me, it kind of strikes me as a darker version of Ferris Wheel Press Goose Poupon, sort of. And I don't know if, oh, there, I think I caught the sheen a little bit. See that green sheen on it? Let's see if I can. The sheen on the ancient copper is a little more subtle, not quite as punchy as the Burlywood. Here you can see the antique sepia in the writing especially reads overall as kind of a khaki, but when you look really close, you can see some pink and green, and of course red and green are opposite on the color wheel, so when you mix them you're going to generally get a brown. So it makes complete sense that we get kind of a khaki color. The Winter Pine came out more towards the green than green blue, and there is just a wee bit of sheening, which I don't think, well, maybe just Halloween, although it seems a little shiny to me. I don't think that will come out in the writing, but if I were to decorate with it with like splotches and stuff, that could be really fun. I'm just noticing that my Prussian blue still isn't dry yet, but you can see it's kind of like a stonewashed denim blue, sort of. Maybe even almost towards an indigo. And then the 50% prickly pear definitely reads more towards a red violet, then a brown at the 50%, and I just noticed that I didn't note that down. I'll have to add that later.
And there we have it. That's my autumn ink rainbow for 2023. I'd love for you to join me. Please use the hashtag autumn ink rainbow and tag me in your videos, and I will get a playlist going for all of the videos that are sharing everyone's favorite autumnal ink rainbow. Thanks so much for watching, and until I see you again, be safe and be well. Aho, and so it is.